Hi, Jim and the rookie Morris. Welcome to Everybody Pulls the Tarp. It's so good to see you, Jim.
You too, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So your story is very well documented. You've shared it for years, and then in 2002, Disney put a whole movie together about it. The Rookie. Dennis Quaid played you in The Rookie. And just to set this up for folks who aren't familiar with your story or need a little bit of a refresher, high school science teacher turned major league pitcher at the age of 35. An incredible story. And I want to dig into all of it with you here, Jim.
Absolutely, Andrew.
So let's just take this a little step further. So you play football and baseball in high school. You're playing minor league baseball. Your career ends for a variety of reasons. You're coaching high school baseball and teaching science, high school science, and you give your team a pep talk. And you tell them that they got to play with more heart. They gotta be committed to the process, and they can't give up. And they give you a challenge, and tell you that, hey, coach, we understand that you gave up on one of your dreams of playing in the big leagues. So if we win the districts, I guess you challenge them, and you say, if we win the districts, then I'll try out for a major league team. Is that how it went? Did I capture that right?
Kind of, but you're missing a whole lot of pieces. And,
Okay.
one of the things was at 28, I had a surgery in which the doctor said, you will never, ever pitch again. 85% of my deltoid gone. So I go back to school. I finish school. I start teaching and coaching, end up in Big Lake. And I'd been there. This was my second year. And getting ready for baseball in 1999, when the movie starts, I had one of the other coaches who was in charge of not only all the coaches, but all the kids, pull me aside to tell me, you have taken these kids as far as you can. These kids are losers. Their parents are losers. If it's ever closer, they're ever behind, they'll find a way to lose because they don't know how to win. And I thought, wow. And you're here to teach these kids how to win. And then he puts his finger in my chest and he goes, and you may be a great baseball coach, but you're always going to come in last to people like me because you're too nice. And I thought, wow, two of my kids are around the corner where I couldn't see it and they heard it. So in 90 seconds, this guy destroyed 2 years of work. And so the first two games where the movie opens up, we get run ruled both games, and that's how it happened. And after the second game, I stood on home plate. I sent my kids down the line, and I just said a small prayer. And faith is a big part of my life, and I don't hide it from anybody, but I don't push it on anybody. And I just said, what can I do to help these kids? How can I push them without breaking them? How can I get these kids to dream? And the answer was so simple. It was like, duh. Go down there and teach them what your grandfather taught you about life. And so I went down there, and you're like, but this has nothing to do with baseball. Yes and no. It has to do with baseball, but it also has to do a lot with life because how you carry yourself out in the real world is how you're going to be seen. And so I walked down there, start talking about hopes and dreams and goals, setting a goal for yourself. I said, you guys have to go out and live life. You can't let life live you. Don't let anybody ever dictate to you what you're going to do with yours. And 20 minutes in, I think I'm sounding like my grandfather, right? And the kids are interested and they're looking up and they're smiling. And then my 18-year-old catcher goes, well, what about your dreams, coach? And I said, my dream is to watch you guys be successful in the class, successful on the field, graduate from high school, go to college, see what's out there. And then you make up your own mind on where it is you want to be and what it is you want to do. And he goes, we know that and we love you too, but we think you still want to play. And I'm like, dude, I weigh 260 pounds. Your moms make fresh homemade tortillas for me every time we get on the bus to go somewhere. That is not a plain diet. That's a coaching diet. 9 surgeries, 35 years old. I am over the hill. But coach, the way you throw us batting practice, we can't hit it. And I said, that's because you can't hit. And that's my repertoire with the team. And we banter back and forth. I love, but the way you teach us how to act and react to every situation that comes up, why are you telling us to chase our dreams if you're not willing to do it yourself? So I explained the surgeries. I explained what the doctor said, medical community, you'll never pitch again. And they said, coach, if we start winning, you try it again. I said, I can't do that just for a few wins. I'm not going to embarrass myself that badly. They go, what if we win a district championship, which these kids have never been a part of in their life in baseball? If we win a baseball championship, you try out. So I did what every parent does. I caved in. And sometimes being a good leader is being willing to walk the walk and not just talking the talk. I said, you guys go out and win a championship, I'll find a tryout somewhere. And then I forgot about it. And that was like the first week of March. We get to the last week of May. We're playing for a district championship. We're down by 2 runs in the last inning. Kids score 6 runs, hold the other team. We win 7-3. And I watch a group of kids celebrating something that not even they thought they could do. And so for me, that was just, it was awesome. I went back to the bus. I started it because, you know, when you're coach and teacher, you do great things like the bus driver. And so I start the bus. I look out, watching these kids celebrate. And for the first time in my life, at the age of 35, one of the biggest lessons my grandfather taught me hit me right between the eyes. And sometimes men are slower, but I looked out at these kids and I went, this is not about me. This is not about me. This is about we. What can we do as a team to make ourselves better? Because if I just look at it like I need wins so I can move up and move on, and you guys, I don't care what really happens to you, just play good. We're all in this together. And I pushed them, they pushed me, and we became better as a team. And, you know, up on the top step of the bus comes my second baseman, the team clown. And he's smiling at me. And I got tears in my eyes. I'm 35. I've had kids of my own. You're allowed to cry as a man when you have your own kids. But I'm watching these kids celebrate, and I'm just, wow, this is so awesome for them. And so I got tears in my eyes, and my third baseman starts giggling. I said, shut up. And from behind his back, he pulls out a baseball, had Reagan County Owls, District 128 champs, 1999. Everybody signed it. I cry harder. He hugs me around the neck. He goes, we did our part.
Now
Oh,
you have to do
no.
yours.
Yeah, I got to go to a tryout.
So you
And
find that tryout,
yep,
and
I
the
find the
rest is
tryout.
Hollywood history, as they would say.
It's amazing, man. When I went to that tryout, I had 3 of my kids, 8, 4, and 1. Nobody would even warm up with me because I'm just the old crazy dude that's out there trying to try out when he's over the hill. So all the kids are like, we're not playing catch with that guy. So I watched everybody try out for 4 hours before I threw. And when I did, I was shocked because when I came off the mound, the scout met me and he had seen me in junior college when I was 19 years old. And he goes, I remember you back at Ranger. You were a football star. I said, yes, sir. He goes, they want to make a picture out of you, Lefty. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, I don't know what you've done your time off aside from eat. I'm like, dude. He goes, but the first pitch you threw without warming up was 94. Everything after that went up to 98. As a person who just found out they throw 98, I'm stunned. I'm like, there's a happy dance going on, right? I'm like, I throw gas. That is cool. The next thought that hit me immediately was, I have been throwing 98 miles an hour at high school kids. I'm getting sued, is what I'm getting. And it's, you know, just one of those things. And I was like, that is why those kids could hit, because by the end of the season, I couldn't get them out. These 15, 16, 17-year-old kids are hitting me all over the park. So the last thing I think I'm going to do is go light up a radar gun somewhere. But the kids were right. I pushed them, they pushed back.
Wow.
Scout called it in. He goes, I know you're 35, but when they call you in a little bit, you're 32. And I said, if I come back and try out again, can I be 29? And he started laughing. And I went home, and the 12 calls I'd missed, they wanted me to come back and throw again. So I called my kids at Reagan County, and I said, look, they want me to try out again. If I do good, they want me to sign. And the kids are like, you told us if we ever had our dream in front of us, you'd chase it no matter what. And I said, yes, I did. So it rained so bad they had to hand me a brand new baseball every pitch, sliding up to my knee in mud, with half my high school team and my 3 kids there again, 98 every pitch. Signed a contract, took a pay cut from teaching, and played minor league baseball.
So Jim, the story is fantastic, and there's so much to it beyond baseball, which is why I love it. Why I love your story so much. So you get to the minor leagues. You know, your people are retiring at the age of 35 from baseball,
Right.
and you've got a bunch of kids that you're riding the bus with that are just trying to make it and get started. Does doubt start to creep in, or did you have such a belief in yourself at that point that you knew you could power through?
I had a coach holding a job for me at a great big high school in Fort Worth. And it was football coach and baseball coach. And so Football starts August 1st. I had the summer to find out and be a kid again. Second chance, doesn't go anywhere. It's not supposed to anyway. I'm old, I'm overweight, who cares? And then I get to double A. And when I walk into the clubhouse, one of the kids looks up, he goes, "Hey, we got a new coach." I'm like, you suck. And I throw the first night, I throw pretty good. The second night, I light it up, strike out 5 in 2 innings, 98, 99. They're like, "Hey, he throws pretty good." Triple A the next day, next 2 months, I'm watching guys on their way up, on their way down, and guys just trying to hold on. Yeah, the doubts crept in. Absolutely. Every time I thought I need to be home so I can pay bills, something would come up to help me stay. One time it was a Louisville glove contract, and my best friend Bobby Munoz in AAA, he talked his Louisville rep into giving me a glove, and Sports Illustrated's there that night. They take a picture of me. It ends up in Sports Illustrated with Louisville written across it. I get a glove contract. Money goes home, pays bills. I stay another month. The following month, it was a shoe contract. And just like that. And then the third time, which is actually in the movie, I thought, I'm missing my kids grow up. I've never been away from my kids. They've never been away from me. I'm trying to be this kid. Am I doing the right thing? And I just happened to be by a little league field. And I walked out there and I watched the game for a little bit, and I watched these kids having fun playing the game that has seen this country through so much of its history. And my mind was made up. I'm going to stay until they kick me out or the season ends, and then I'll go coach. Never thought, hey, I'll go up and play big league baseball. I was having a great time being the kid and accepting my kids' challenge and actually being where I was because of them. That was cool.
One of the things that's always so interesting to talk to successful people and elite performers is when the going gets tough, how many try and go back to reflect on a simpler time. I've talked to an Olympic soccer player who said, "Andrew, I always try to remember what it's like to enjoy soccer for the orange slices at halftime. You know,
Yeah.
the purity, and when the stakes get higher and there's money involved and careers at stake, it's easy to get distracted by all that, I would think. But once you had that moment where you look at that little league field, it brings you back. It brings you back a bit, right?"
Yeah, I'm a kid again, and I'm watching kids play a game for a hot dog and a Coke after a game. And I remember that as a kid growing up, man, when you played for the hot dog and Coke, it was cool. Didn't matter if you lost, didn't matter if you won, you got a hot dog and a Coke. And then that kid comes back into your head, and you're like, this is why I fell in love with the sport. It's a team sport. And in between these white lines, anything can happen. And I love baseball because of the chess matches. I would love to have played soccer, but I didn't want to run that much.
Well, soccer. Yeah, soccer's a lot of running. That's for sure. So you're in the minor leagues. You're in the minor leagues, and you're trying to work your way up to the big club. The doubt is creeping in. You have that moment. You get that call up to the big leagues, and then you get there, and you strike out Royce Clayton in the first batter that you face. Take me through that moment.
Huh. At that moment, I had to sign a contract before I could walk into the clubhouse where in the ballpark in Arlington where Tampa was. And I signed my contract. They gave me meal money, which, by the way, for 10 days was more than I made in a month teaching. And so I enjoyed that. And then I walk into a clubhouse where there's Wade Boggs, who had just gotten his 3,000th hit, automatic Hall of Famer. There's Fred McGriff, the crime dog. There's Roberto Hernandez. There's Jose Canseco, who is an entity unto his own. And unbelievably nice. All of them treated me with so much respect. Wade Boggs actually came up and hugged me. He goes, "That is the best story I've ever heard in my life." Because I've been 3 months in the minors, and they're like, this guy was coaching 3 months ago. And so they knew about the crazy science teacher, and now here I was. And so they treated me like they knew I could do what I was there to do. And so that was awesome. And then for 8 innings, I'm like, I've thrown 3 days in a row in the AAA playoffs. There is no way they're putting me in. I'm enjoying a big league game, sitting here next to big league pitchers, talking about how to pitch the guys I may or may not face, and enjoy my first day in the big leagues. And Johnny Oates, the opposing manager at the time, God bless his soul, he let 150 people in the game that day that had ties to me. And it was just an amazing day. All the people I know and love came to watch their coach. Kids got in school buses. They drove 9 hours to be there for an afternoon game. It was just a lot of fun watching. They had pushed, and when I pushed in, they pushed back, and because of that, we succeeded.
What's interesting there, Jim, is when you think about the way that Wade Boggs and Fred McGriff and all these folks with extensive experience in the big leagues treated you. You said they treated you like you belong there. That's
Yeah.
when I think about it, that's how you treated your players as a coach. You treated them like they belonged and that you believed in them. And then Wade Boggs and Fred McGriff and Jose Canseco and all these guys treated you like you belonged in their clubhouse. I think that's an interesting parallel.
That is, and I've never really thought of it like that, but that would go back to from 15 to 18, I lived with my grandparents, and it was my father's parents. And my father was physically and verbally abusive. He was in the military. We moved constantly. But at 15, they did the biggest favor for me they never knew they did. And they moved me to my grandparents' house from Miami to Brownwood, Texas. And when I got to Brownwood, I walked into a house where I had two rules. If you do it, own it, live up to it, move on. And number two, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said because the truth is the truth. It does not change. Those were their two rules. And they taught me about being a good human being, a good man. My grandfather had me take my grandmother on lunch dates once a week the entire time I was in high school. So I would know what to do, how to take their arm across the street, keep them away from traffic on the sidewalk, car doors, restaurant doors, pull out chairs, fold out napkins. He taught me about life. And one of his biggest deals is he said, if you ever make a promise, you live up to that promise because at the end of the day, when you pass away, you're going to be remembered for one thing. Did you live by your word? And I mean, just awesome lessons every day. He had a menswear store in Brownwood, population 20,000, but people came from all over the country to buy suits from my grandfather because they loved and respected him. He had fought in World War II. He knew everybody. I mean, Gene Autry came in one day, hugs my grandfather like they've been best friends. I didn't know they'd known each other for so long. And I'm like, that is so cool. And then when Dennis and I are filming the movie, he goes, Gene came into your dad's store? I said, yeah. He goes, and he told me he's related to Gene Autry. And I thought, what a small world. It just kind of goes in a circle. It's cool.
It is a small world, and it's interesting how these things all compound to have an impact on us and seem to percolate and present themselves at the right time to help us through challenging and interesting circumstances. Another question I've always had for you, Jim, is most people have a playing career and then they become a coach. You played, you became a coach, and then you went back to playing. When you were back there chasing the dream at the age of 35 with all the experience as a coach, do you think it helped maintain perspective and help you through some of those challenges as you chased and eventually got to the big leagues?
I think teaching kids the proper way to approach the game and situations that come up definitely helped put me in a situation where I enjoyed watching the game more. And at that level, it gets a little bit quicker every level you go up: high school, college, A ball, double A, triple A, and then you get to the big leagues. People are watching the game and are like, this game is so slow, but they don't see the micro moves and the other things that are happening quickly and how an inning can cycle right out of you've given up 9 runs. You're like, what happened? And you have no idea. And so that for me kept me calm and being there knowing that I was teaching these kids even after I wasn't at that school anymore, I think was the biggest thing for me because I thought, I'm here because of them and I need to see this through. And because I saw it through and because I stuck it out, I found out what is possible, which made me believe even more. And so those kids are still attached to me. We do an inner city deal where we go into inner city high schools and get kids back on the field, whether it's football or baseball. And we redo baseball fields and football fields and get kids involved again. So the kids get off the street, get back into school and play. And those high school kids from 1999 are involved in that.
The same kids from that famous season.
Yeah. And you know what? They're now older than I was when I went back and tried out, which makes me incredibly old.
I don't know about that, Jim. I don't know. I think you could still probably throw some heat out there.
You know what? Yeah, I could, but I might not be able to do anything for a couple of days after that.
So let's Jim, let's get into the book. So your latest book, Dream Makers. One of the interesting things about the book is that you talk about dream makers, but you also talk about dream killers. Talk about
Yeah.
talk about the difference, obviously, between the two, and how do you go about adding more dream makers to your life and kind
Yeah.
of eliminating the dream killers?
Well, let's talk about the dream killers first because I don't like that subject anyway. So let's get them over with. I define that by people who have either tried to do something in their lives and they failed at it, or they're too afraid to try. And so if they can drag you down to where they are, they feel better about where it is they are. And see somebody else fail out there like, I knew, see, they couldn't even do it. I know I can't do it. Those are the people you want to stay away from. They can be people in positions set up to help you. They can be family members. They can be spouses. These are people who, if they have to stay in your inner circle, you need a different relationship with them so that stuff bounces off of you because there is always a negative connotation with anything they say. Because it's always a pessimist who goes, "Oh, that can't be done. That's not possible. That'll never happen." But the dream makers, the people that you want on your team, and I define dream makers as, oh man, I got a lot of different definitions. The people you want around you all the time because they make you better. If I get 9 people on my team who are just like me, then we're all going to have the same weaknesses. But if I get 9 people as good or better than me, or in business, as good or smarter than me, some are going to be talented in one area, some are going to be talented in another. We're going to go for all the areas to make the whole company, the we concept, work better. So when you surround yourself with the best people possible, you become the best you can be. And having those right people on your team, there is nothing that is not possible.
How do you go about adding more of those types of people to an environment? Like I guess said another way, when you're coaching, are people
Yeah.
either dream killers or dream makers? Can you turn someone from a dream killer to a dream maker, or do you have to just weed them out and recruit new kids that are dream makers?
Well, I'll tell you this. I was a dream killer for myself, and my high school kids were dream killers because they believed everything people were telling them. When I told them how good they were, even though they were not, and I kept telling them, "You're good, you're good, you're good," they finally bought into it, and then they played well. And then because of them, they pushed me back into something I messed up so royally when I was young and I was supposed to be talented. And now at 35, I make a comeback, all because of them. Yeah, we're dream killers and dream makers, and we can be either one depending on whatever situation we're in. We just need to realize that we can reach any dream we want to, but you got to have a plan. You got to put that plan in action, and you got to plan your work and work your plan. And the people you have around you who want to see you rise because it's going to help them rise too, those are your dream makers.
Jim, how do you determine if a goal is too ambitious, or if you're setting the bar too high and setting someone up for failure?
My biggest, in answer to your thing, my biggest deal is a question. If I wake up at 70 years of age one day and go, what if? You can be a dream maker and still fail. Doesn't mean you're going to be successful in every single thing you do. But you might find 2 or 3 different things that you like better on your way to that dream that you thought you were supposed to get, but it ends up throwing you into something even better. And that is one of the lessons my grandfather taught you. He goes, "You're not going to throw the ball hard forever. What are you going to do when you're 18? You're like, I'm going to throw the ball hard as long as I want to." And then you turn 50 and you have to get up every night and pee 3 times. You're like, I cannot throw the ball hard anymore. And I think life and situations, I think we need to take, like, let's look at COVID. Let's look at 2020. A lot of people became extremely fearful. Why? You're either going to get it or you're not. And you're either going to get really sick or you're not, or you might die or you're not. Why worry about something that hadn't happened yet? Why not plan for something good that can happen? It's going to take your mind off all the bad stuff. Turn the TV off, quit watching the news, and come up with a new dream.
I talked a number of months ago, Jim, to one of the mental performance coaches for the Philadelphia Phillies. And she has a philosophy that you always put an optimistic cherry on top of everything. So you take every perceived negative situation. Oh, I have to park so far from the store. Instead, it's, well, I have to park so far from the store, but I get to walk and exercise on this nice day. I have to stay home because of COVID, but I get to record more podcasts, or what, you get the drift, right? And I also have a mentor that says you take have out of every sentence and you add get. So instead of I have to, I get to. I have to, I get to.
Exactly.
It's a totally different mindset shift where you're looking at the positive and the opportunity in each situation. And another great mentor told me, being positive doesn't mean you look at everything, like this happy-go-lucky personality, and there's just nothing wrong that goes on. It's just that you look at every situation with an optimistic view. You see the best in every specific circumstance. One of the things, Jim, that I've always wondered is when we get into let's get into the movie a little bit here. How did that all come about? So you've got your story, you write your book. How does it go from, a lot of folks are wondering, how does it go from Jim to movie, Dennis Quaid, the whole bit?
It all kind of happened at the same time. We did not write the book first. We did it at the same time. And so I had a producer call me. He was my old roommate from like 1983 when we were in minor league. Now he's producing movies. He was working out with Michael Eisner. During lunches, saw an interview of me in AAA in Durham, North Carolina, and he starts calling me in the clubhouse and he goes, "Jimmy, I work out with Michael Eisner every day and we want to make a movie about you." And I said, "Ha ha ha," click. And he called back and he goes, "No, we want to make a movie." I'm like, "Ha ha ha," click. I said, "Dude, I'm 35. I'm overweight. I'm this old guy trying to do something to be a kid again." And I said, "Come August, I'll be coaching football." And then I get called up, and right after we play the game in Texas, we go to Anaheim, and Bill Plaschke for the LA Times writes this huge article on a Sunday paper. I go downstairs to the restaurant, I pull out the sports page. I'm all over the front page of the sports page. Everybody in the restaurant's looking at me, and I'm like, holy cow. Over the next 4 days, we meet people from all these different studios who are going, "Hey, we want to do this and we want to do that." And walk into Disney, and they gave me exactly what I wanted. A movie that shows kids who are being kept down because nobody believed in them, and then older adults about second chances and getting a chance to overcome again. And perfect.
So much, when I think, about the childhood you described and the relationship with your father that you've talked about, you briefly touched on and you've talked about so publicly, the ability to leave a legacy and a story that is relatable, like you just described there, to young people, to older people, with a message of, it's not about baseball, it's about believing in yourself and not letting anybody tell you what your potential is. I think is so powerful. I think that's just such a powerful opportunity for you.
Well, I'll tell you this, I've learned to coach differently to different people. Those kids at Reagan County needed one type of coach. And so I planned everything and I made it interesting. Every day we came out to work out, we had something different to do. A few years ago, I'm working with a kid in Kerrville, Texas, who is 5'9", and then he turns into this 6'5" giant. And what I could do for him was leave him alone. And he needed very small adjustments. And I taught him a few pitches as he grew older. He goes to A&M, lights it up. Now he's a #1 draft pick for Kansas City at, #4 pick overall last June. And sometimes we need hands-on and sometimes we need hands-off. It's all about reading people.
That's so interesting. Everybody needs to be coached differently. It's the same way in business. You have to understand your personnel. You have to understand what people need in the given moment.
And you have to know their strengths and weaknesses. One person may be extremely smart, but they don't know how to do this one thing, while another person who's not as smart knows how to do it perfectly. Why not combine that, make it a team effort, and let's get it done and go even bigger and better than we thought it would be.
So Jim, I want to before we wrap up here, I want to kind of catch everybody up on your life since the movie, since 2002, and you're doing a ton. Pre-COVID, you were speaking all over the world. Now you're doing a lot of virtual work.
Yeah.
You have the new book I described, Dream Makers. You've had countless surgeries and other challenges. Catch us up a little bit on the past 18, 19 years or so in a minute or two, I guess you could say.
Yeah. In 2001, I signed with the Dodgers. I go to Winter League out at Chavez Ravine. We're working out every day. We're taking ground balls. We're hitting. We're throwing. We're doing PFPs, which everybody loves to do when you're a pitcher, is have your shins hit with someone who's hitting ground balls at you. I'm doing it fine. I'm doing it perfectly. I'm in great health. I'm throwing 98. I'm painting the corners. In 5 days, I go from LA, drive across country, see my kids for a couple of days, go to Vero Beach where the Dodgers still were. And something in those 5 days, something hit me, and I don't know what it was. All of a sudden, I'm playing catch with another lefty pitcher the first day of camp, and I can't judge the ball back at me in 5 days. We're doing bunting drills, something I taught my kids. You catch the ball with the bat and turn it whichever direction you want to. Can't do that. Can't even bunt. Taking ground balls, I don't even react to some of them that are hit. And I'm like, if I throw a ball up there 100 miles an hour and somebody hits it back at me like Stanton 112, I cannot get out of the way. And it scared me. And I used my own thing. I just went, you know what? My arm hurts. I'm out of here. And I talked to Jim Tracy, our manager at the time. And I said, look, I'm never going to light it up. I don't know what's going on with me right now. I said, but it's more important to go home and watch my kids. I want to watch them chase their dreams. And he hugged me. He goes, if you ever need anything, let me know. And he sent me through the locker room with the clubhouse kid, give me gloves, bats, balls, and everything to hand to all the kids in the town I was in. And so that was a blessing. And then we go make the movie, and I get sicker, and I start having surgeries. Eventually, it takes 10 years, but we get a diagnosis of there's no dopamine on the right side of my brain. So you have Parkinson's. You get sicker and sicker. The neurologist keeps going, oh, you're just going to get sicker. I'm sorry, it's just Parkinson's. My wife had to start traveling with me because I couldn't even button my dress shirts. It gets really bad. 5 years ago, I can't walk around the block without a cane. And then let's just say people need to read the book to understand. If you have faith, you're going to get it. If you don't, you know what? Maybe take a look at it and go, wow, anything is possible. I don't have Parkinson's anymore. I had a surgery last year. The only one I had, they took the deep brain stimulator out of my brain because my brain works perfectly now. They redid all the tests, perfectly normal. Physical test, perfectly normal. Now I'm running 5 to 7 miles a day. I lift every day. I'm in better shape now than I was when I went back and played baseball.
I'm looking at you, Jim. I told you look like you could throw some heat right now. It's such a challenging set of circumstances, but you always, like everything, you always seem to take the positive out of every challenge, and not only overcome those challenges for yourself, but leave these breadcrumbs of a story and inspiration for other people, which is, I think, the ultimate gift that anyone can have, Jim, to go through things and educate others and inspire others along the way. You are such an inspiration. Before I let you go, I want to know, what do you credit most for your success in all aspects of life? Baseball, coaching, as a father, life in general.
Well, it can be seen as a positive or a negative. I don't know when to quit. You're going to get sicker and sicker. That's just how it is. I'm going to prove you wrong. And I got that instilled from me when I was a child, and I was never good enough to please my dad. And having him hold my little brother and looking down at me going, this is the one we wanted. We never wanted you. So I could never please him. And so that instilled in me a sense never to quit and always try to outdo myself. I'm not playing against anybody else. I'm playing against me. If I can improve one thing about me every single day, then I'm winning. And I may be the only one that knows the game's going on, but I know what I'm doing. I give myself a little bit of negative time and get all the negativity out, and then I make a plan, and then I attack it.
Jim, we're going to end right there. You are such an inspiration to me. You're such an inspiration to so many, and I can't wait to see what you do next, Jim. It's such a fantastic story, Jim, the Rookie Morris. It's been great to have you on Everybody Pulls the Tarp. keep pulling that tarp. All right, Jim?
Absolutely, Andrew. Thank you so much.